there. Fuck.
You're bleeding. Did you just shave?
Yeah, I just shaved. I'm bleeding.
Wow.
I put a little
Nice.
pencil.
I don't have to worry about it. Hey, Fish, guess what? We are live. So let me ask you this. What does the musical Cats have in common with fantasy sports betting and our drink of the week? Well, it's our special guest, Liz Callaway, a Broadway star who is also a Mets and Jets fan. Hey, at least she admits it. She's the one that does. So we're going to have fun with her tonight. That's Liz Callaway coming up in a little bit. The Daily Fish Hardline with John Hardison will join us, and Liz is going to be a part of that as well. And we will hear Hardison's picks for the wild card weekend in the NFL coming up. You'll also be forced to suffer the Daily Fish picks for this week. Hey, but at least you will know which way not to bet. And we will review one of the wackiest final weeks in NFL history. Our schmuck of the week is a mom who went too far to get her daughter a date, and who's got the swag is the star who swims with the dolphins. And what's going on with bikes? We are pedaling our way into another transportation change as only we can show you here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daily Fish. John Daly here with Eric Snyder, a.k.a. Fish. We're coast to coast, coming to you from Las Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We talk sports and entertainment and everything in between, covering stuff no one else would dare to discuss. Fish, I got to ask you, are you bleeding heavily there? Are you having problems?
I'm the only schmuck that can cut himself shaving, and then all of a sudden the blood comes out right when we go to showtime. So I'm going to bleed all over myself. I don't care. The show must go on. All I got to say is this: he'll take the hit for me right there. You see that?
Absolutely.
That guy right there, baby.
Absolutely. That's right. All right, let's jump into the daily grind because we're going to talk about that. Here's what we're grinding on. So, Fish, hopefully, let me ask you this. Besides cutting yourself, have you recovered? I mean, you were at the classic Raiders and Chargers finale in the Sunday night game that you just showed there. I was 3,000 miles away, and I barely could sleep afterwards. What hit you about this game?
It was a classic from the minute that game started to the minute it ended. It was hard on both teams as far as having heart. Justin Herbert, to me, is an elite quarterback. I've never seen a guy, never, 7 straight 4th downs and 7s or 10s. I mean, Raiders couldn't stop one of them. And then in overtime, there was a crazy timeout. Derek Carr came through when, the greatest game, but he came through when you needed him to. And the bottom line is, this is my emotions.
Money.
Watch this video.
Biggest kick of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Snap good, hold good, and Raiders in, Chargers out, Steelers in.
Was that you on the field?
That was me. That was everyone. I was everyone in that game. It started. I like to have a few libations, but I'm just recovering from shots of Jameson, Modelo's, exhilaration. I can't shave without cutting my face because I'm still thinking about that Raider victory. It was great. It was great for the city. They won 4 in a row. They made the playoffs, and let's see if they can continue this. This hot streak.
All right, real quick, where do you place that as far as Raiders victories? Top 5?
Top 5. Well, real quick, the NFL Network said they're going to do in the offseason, they're going to rate all 272 games from the worst game to the top game. They already said the top game of the season is number 272, and that's the Raider-Charger game as far as drama, excitement.
And I got to tell you, I think the Raiders-Cowboys game was right up there too.
Sure was.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next, Black Monday yesterday in the NFL meant pink slips for coaches. Mike Nagy of the Bears, Mike Zimmer of the Vikings, Vic Fangio of the Broncos, and Brian Flores of the Dolphins. Any surprises to you, Fish? There was for me.
Flores. It's crazy. But then the owner owned up to it. Stephen Ross comes out and says, look, there was communications between him and Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback. He didn't get along with Chris Greer. And I heard he's a hothead. So they probably sat his ass down and said, look, you got to get along with other people. But his record, other players loved him. And he held people accountable. He was tough on Tua. Now he's looking for another job, and I can promise you, of the other 4 or 5 openings, he's going to get one.
Cool. So those 4 coaching spots and maybe more, plus interim positions that may be filled, Jacksonville, and also in Vegas. You got any predictions?
I think if Bisaccia wins this weekend, Rich Bisaccia against Cincinnati, he'll probably keep the job. Mark Davis says he wants to make a splash. I don't get that. I mean, the fact that you've accomplished a 4-game winning streak after everyone wrote you off is a big enough splash. Jim Harbaugh's out there. They're talking about Jim Harbaugh, so we'll see what happens. Bisaccia, the players love the guy, and he's done a great job. So,
Absolutely. All right, let's give you our playoff picks. Fish, Raiders at Bengals. Who are you picking?
Well, smart guy says pick the Bengals, but I'm a homer, and I'm wrong. I'm like David Carr always picks his brother Derek to win no matter what. They could be 0-15 when they're playing the 15-0 Chiefs. He'll pick the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders. I think, why not?
I tell you, I want to go Raiders too. I think they're the team of destiny, but I think last week took a lot out of them. The Bengals will be home and somewhat mentally rested, so reluctantly, I'm going to go Bengals. Next, Patriots at Bills. The weather will be fairly good for Buffalo up there, so I'm going to ride with the Bills, even though it goes against my Belichick bias. So I'm going Bills at home. How about you, Fish?
I'm going Bills at home too. I'm not, but the Patriots. I think Mac Jones is finally starting to play like this rookie class that wasn't that great this year. He was the elite part of that rookie class. I'm not seeing it the last few weeks. I'm going Bills.
Okay. Eagles go to Tampa Bay for Brady and the Bucks. Go ahead, Fish. You pick first.
That game was they played it earlier in the season. Was about a 4 or 5 point game. The Eagles surprisingly kept it close, but now the Bucks have a chip on their shoulder. Now you're hearing all this blasphemy coming out of Antonio Brown that they need him, they can't win without him. So now you put a chip on Tom Brady's shoulder. I like the Bucks anyways, but I bet the Bucks win this game by 2 scores.
Wow. Actually, I'm feeling an upset here, so I'm actually going to go Eagles, believe it or not. Next, 49ers at Cowboys. I have an upset here too. I'm going 49ers. Fish, what do you say about that?
You know what? So am I. This is the one game that's the most intriguing to me of all the playoff games. I'm sick of hearing all the anti Jimmy Garoppolo. What they pulled off, when you talk about that, they're down 17-0 and they have to win. That's part of my Fish segment coming up.
Cool.
The guy's a winner. Sorry, I'm going with the 49ers.
Okay. Steelers at Chiefs. You go first, Fish.
Chiefs. I mean, it's nice that the Steelers are doing this. It's a nice end off to Roethlisberger, but I know the Chiefs struggle on their defense, but I don't think Pittsburgh has the kind of offense, John, that produces 30, 35 points a game, and the Chiefs do have that kind of offense.
I'm agreeing with you, although there's something about this. There could be an upset here as well, because I think they might take them for granted. I'm not really keen on the Chiefs defense, but like you say, I don't know if the Steelers have the wherewithal to score, 25, 30 points. So I'm going to go Chiefs. And finally, Cardinals at the Rams. I don't like the way either of these teams are playing, but I will go Cardinals. Fish, give it up.
I want to get Hardison on this one, and I will later. He's a big stopper guy because of his allegiance to the Lions. He's thrown 2 interceptions or more in the last 5 games. Their defense is so good that it keeps them in games. Yep. And they could have, they won the division because the Cardinals lost to the Seahawks, which is crazy. But I like, you know what? I'm going to go with the Rams just to go against it. So, I don't like it.
That makes sense. That's a good reason why.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Next, let's look at the NBA at halfway point, because obviously in about 3 weeks we're not going to have football. We're going to be talking NBA. We're going to be also talking about college basketball. So hit me with some of the trends that you're seeing.
I love the fact that the Warriors and the Suns are both 30-9. And I like the Brooklyn Nets in the East. They're 14-4 on the road and only 11-10 at home. And is it kind of ironic that only Kyrie Irving can play on the road, only on the road because of the virus restrictions they have in New York? So and then again, you look at it's halfway through the season, you get that great Suns and Warriors dynamic going on. But I never bet against LeBron. And if they get healthy, they stay healthy, and Anthony Davis could stay healthy, and Westbrook could learn to stop turning the ball over, the Lakers can make a run. But I don't think there's much in the East right now. I mean, we could ask Hardison that, but right now, you're going to say it. I mean, I'm so excited to see Klay Thompson after 2 years of being out. You got Curry throwing the threes. Wait to have that on the perimeter. And I love that Warriors team. What do you think?
Absolutely, I'm exactly the same way. To me, that's my main thing. Klay Thompson coming back, I think, is going to be a boost to them. I just don't see the Lakers getting healthy. I just don't see them making a run, and so I'm going to ride the Warriors and see what's going on there, because I still think Steph Curry's got a lot going on. He feels healthy, feels good, so going to go with them. And finally, on the grind, bicycle sales are crushing it. If you own a bike store, you might want to open another one. A Daily Fish investigation, and we do a lot of investigating here, shows some countries like Japan use bikes more than cars and buses. And here in the States, bike clubs are growing. Fish, let me ask you this. Is this just a fad, or is this something we're going to see moving up and onward?
And also in some of the, onward and upward, John, in some of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, they're riding bike, and it's freezing up there. And they're people riding their bikes because it's efficient, and gas prices are going crazy. When I get up at work every morning, I'll go stop off at an Einstein's, right where you used to live, and I see 100 people in their bikes gathering around, no matter what the weather is, and are going on bike runs. And I just think that it's a great way for exercise. I don't think it's a fad. I think it's the way we're moving forward, and it's a great way of transportation. It's not the safest because people are idiots on the road, but I like the fact that people are getting out there. And like I said, if you own a bike store right now, your sales have gone up 300% in the last 2 years.
Yep. No doubt about that. And also, everybody's talking about green energy. Can't get any greener than that. Our Daily Fish Asian correspondent, John Williams, will be on in a few weeks from Japan. He's going to talk about the Beijing Olympics, but he's also going to hit us with some stuff about bikes there, because he does ride a bike in Japan. All right, and that is the Daily Grind. Questions or comments during the live show, use the chat box here or email us at dailyfish1, the number 1, at gmail.com. You can post to Facebook at daily.fish.5. Better yet, record yourself short, tight, and horizontal on your smartphone and send us a question to dailyfish1 at gmail.com. All right, time now for some binge busters and books. Fish, what are you binging on?
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Season 4 of Cobra Kai. I'm a Karate Kid fan. I remember when it came out in '84. The first movie was great. I didn't like the other ones, but they've really hit it with this TV series based on that movie. And wow, when you see characters that it was a PG rated movie, and they're throwing S bombs and F bombs, and you got the Daniel LaRusso character is a straight arrow, and Johnny Lawrence is my kind of guy, played by William Zabka. He's a down and out guy, a drunk. He's a little drugs, a handyman, can't get tripping over his left foot. Season 4 is phenomenal.
Cool. All right. I'm doing a binge and a read. Read the book by Eric Larson called The Devil in the White City. It's about the 1893 World's Fair and the first modern day serial killer that happened during that World's Fair. Why read it? Well, the book is riveting, but here's what's going to happen. Soon, it will be a Hulu series with Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese directing. And there is also talk that Keanu Reeves may have a big role in it as well. So The Devil in the White City and Cobra Kai are binge blockbusters and books for this week. All right, now, something fishy. Fish, what are you turning your nose up at this week?
Well, I'm bleeding all over it, okay? There's a new culture. And, I might be handsome for my age. I'm 61. John's 84. We look good, right? No Botox, nothing. But there's a new culture hitting the NFL, okay? And you noticed it at Allegiant Stadium. First season you've had fans because of COVID. There was 30,000 Bear fans for the Raiders' third home game ever. And you walk in that stadium and okay. Well, this past Sunday, Sean McVay and Matt Stafford said they had to go to a silent count because they couldn't believe how many San Francisco 49er fans were in SoFi. Okay, I have 2 friends that went to that game. There was 35,000 San Francisco fans. San Francisco fans don't travel unless there's an art auction opening or there's a new Pinot Noir somewhere down in Temecula in one of the vineyards down there. They don't travel. But that's a new culture. People are selling their tickets, and I have to get used to it, and I'm not. Okay, I don't get it. There's probably two venues in the United States in football that don't do it: the Chiefs and the Packers. Everywhere else, everyone's selling their tickets. Okay, and I get it. It's a business. You buy a ticket for $300. Someone wants to fly out. You charge them $700. You're gonna make. If you have 4 tickets, you're gonna. I don't know. Do the math. 4 or 8. 12. You're gonna make $1,600 on your tickets. So something I have to get over. I think it's fishy that I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, Liz and John. Okay, and the The phrase that is coined, Dodgers fans leave their seats in the seventh inning in a 1-0 game to beat the traffic, that started in Los Angeles, okay? LA is a Dodger town. It's a Laker town. What's fishy is the thought that these idiots that run the NFL thought they could put 2 NFL teams in there, right? The Chargers have one of the greatest quarterbacks that I witnessed, and no one goes to their games. The Rams are playing for a playoff spot or a seed. No one goes to their games, okay? The NFL did this on this. The NFL did one reason. They wanted to move the NFL network to Los Angeles and they have their facilities at SoFi Stadium. Fox is based out of Los Angeles. Okay, CBS wants to base itself out of Los Angeles, and so does the NFL. Going to move from Park Avenue to probably Los Angeles. It doesn't mean you have to have 2 football teams there because one isn't even drawing any fans. I'm done.
Very good. All right, and that is what's fishy for this week. Still ahead, our schmuck of the week, along with who's got the swag. Time now, though, for the Daily Fish Hardlines. Joining us is John Hardison from the podcast Cost of Winning, focusing on fantasy sports and sports betting. He's with us every week. Welcome back, Hardline.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you, pal. All right, let's jump right into it. Bengals are 6-point favorites at home with the Raiders. What is your call?
I got to say, man, just touching on last week's game, Brandon Staley, what a schmuck for that timeout. What a schmuck he was. I'm like Chris Collinsworth. Are you kidding me right now? Just take the tie. Golly. But looking at this game, man, there's a lot of questions in regards to it. Is T. Higgins' knee going to be okay? Is Joe Mixon going to be back out of virus protocol to be able to play this week coming up? I know they sat Joe Burrow last week. I like the Raiders in this game, especially plus 5.5. I like them on the road. They just got to be able to get some 4th down stops because what they pulled off last Sunday was real questionable on letting, Fish 6, 7 4th down conversions happen almost in a row, which is ridiculous.
Never happened in the history of the NFL. Excuse me. Never happened in the history of the NFL. Never
seen it. But I like what the Raiders did. That was the most complete game I've seen the Raiders play probably in the last 15, 20 years of just watching them, even when they were in Oakland. They actually ran the ball effectively. Josh Jacobs looked like a first-round pick. Zay Jones looked extremely well. And Max Crosby, give him credit where credit's due. He was in Justin Herbert's face almost every play. So with this one, I'm riding with the Raiders plus 5.5. Hopefully get this win and keep the train moving along.
We're talking about the sexiness of the Raiders, and it's good to have them in the playoffs and the Cowboys, but no one's talking about a team that's hot right now, and that's the Buffalo Bills. And they host the New England Patriots, and I think the Bills are only giving 4. What do you like?
You know what? I like the Patriots in this game. The last 2 weeks, the Bills have been very suspect. I mean, that last week's game was really questionable. There were a lot of questions in terms of Josh Allen's his decision-making, what they were able to pull off, the fact that Devin Singletary kind of actually bailed them out of some situations. Stephon Diggs, he's had a great season, but, I thought he would be a little bit more this year. But I just think that Bill Belichick is that guy that, when he's got to perform and he's got to execute, he's going to execute. I like the defense of the Patriots, and I think they come away and get this win this weekend.
Wow. All right. Bucks are an 8.5-point favorite at home to the Eagles. See any upset here? What are you picking?
I'm taking the Bucks. I'm not even if it's Gardner Bubba Minshew the second at the helm, it's going to be a big even blowout. We're not even talking about Jalen Hurts at this point. Tom's not going to lose at home. You could pretty much write this off. My question is going to be this to the viewers at home: does Bubba have over or under 3 interceptions this game down in Tampa? That's the question.
Yeah,
but I'm rolling with the Bucks all the way. There's no, I don't see the Eagles. No.
Well, you heard me earlier. This is of all the games, this is the one that excites me the most. Besides the Raiders, is the Cowboys going into Dallas. I mean, if anyone's primed for an upset, it will be the 49ers. What do you like?
Yeah, this.
49ers to beat Dallas for the upset. What do you like?
You know what? I'm going to go with Dallas at home. I like the 49ers. This would not surprise me if the 49ers did end up upsetting them, especially because we just celebrated the anniversary of the catch once again. That just, roared his hair around. But looking at everything that San Francisco's done, they've put a lot together. You mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think really the unsung hero of that team is really Deebo Samuels. And that's why he's an all-pro this year. Oh, yeah. I mean, he finds ways to get whatever little yards or whatever little lanes available to make the most out of it. And I think that's been their saving grace this season. But I like Dallas's defense. I like them at home. I think this is time for Dak to really put up or shut up. It's that time for him to keep the train moving. I'm going Dallas.
All right. Chiefs 13-point favorites over the Steelers. Would you even pick this one, or do you have something on this one? What do you think?
You know what? I really am going to take Pittsburgh plus 12.5. Kansas City, it depends on what Kansas City team you're getting. I think we have this idea of what Kansas City has been in the past 3 or 4 years, where it's been automatic that Pat Mahomes has been able to score 3 touchdowns with ease a game. And this year they've really struggled. We've seen them have moments where the teams that they're supposed to be, it's close. Give you an example last week. A lot of people thought they were going to blow out the Broncos, and they didn't. If you didn't take the money line last week, you didn't cover. So I like Pittsburgh plus 12.5. I think the defense keeps it close. And my real question is, can Kansas City's offensive line keep TJ Watt off of their quarterback? Their line has struggled somewhat this year. It's not the same line as before. And TJ Watt has been wreaking havoc on every team he's come against.
Good point.
I love you, John Hardison. I love you too, Daly. I like Hardison more. He's better looking. And I know your love and affection for Matthew Stafford, but he's thrown 2 interceptions or more in the last 4 games. And the Rams gave up a king's ransom to get this guy. And now you just said, put up or shut up with Dak. It's his time to put up or shut up. They have no draft the next 2 years. They're home. They're 4-point favorites, is it? Yeah, 4-point against the Cardinals, who are in a little bit of a suffering mode too. What do you like?
I feel like this is like the 8th time we watched this game this season. But I'm going to go with the Rams. The Rams at home. The Cardinals offense, it's been suspect as of late. Remember last week I told you guys pick the Seahawks. Seahawks ended up pulling it off. Kyler Murray started off the season so hot and so effective. And right now, he's struggling. I don't see them outside of James Conner. I don't see him really busting big plays open. They've got some decent offense, but I just can't bet against Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham. You got kind of a pick your poison situation right there. Yes, their defense has been bailing them out. I mean, look, the all-pro list just came out, I believe, today, maybe yesterday. And what they have about 2 or 3 defensive players that are all pros on that side. One offensive wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, unanimous all-pro. I just got to go with the Rams in this situation. I think this is the time for, as sad as this is, for Matt Stafford to get his first playoff win. After that, we'll kind of see what the shakeup is, where everybody lands. But I got to go with the Rams. I can't bet against them at home and the guy that's as innovative as Sean McVay. Because right now, even though we kind of pass over this, we don't even know if Cliff Kingsbury is going to be their coach next year if he decides to go coach someplace else.
Yep. All right. And that is the Daily Fish Hardline with John Hardison of the Cost of Winning podcast. You can find him here with us each week, but he's also on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. John, thanks. We're going to see you in a little bit again as we talk some fantasy sports with our special guest, Liz Callaway. So stick around. We'll see you in a little bit.
Hey, can't wait, guys.
Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Daily Fish is live on Facebook Tuesdays now at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific. We are on DBNA Television and Roku and Amazon Fire. We're also streaming 24/7 on the DBNA television website, plus the Myrtle Beach Golf Channel and Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Live. Follow us and like us on Facebook at daily.fish.5. Subscribe on YouTube and let us know if you're okay with this time change. Again, 6 o'clock Eastern and 3 o'clock Pacific. All right, time now for our Schmuck of the Week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish?
All right. If you have kids, if you had a daughter that looked like this, what would you do? All right. If you had a daughter, hang on. You had a daughter that looked like this, and I've dated a few that looked like this, the daughter. Okay. Look at this moron did in Times Square. This lady took out a billboard. Okay. Date my daughter. A mother's love can help you find a loved one, and she becomes her wingman. This is a good-looking woman. Okay. You're going to put that out there? I know social media is blowing up everywhere, and there's something that's different in our lifestyles, and we got to get used to it. And it's great, okay? We're having a podcast right now, which wasn't even thought about 10 years ago. I'm Molly's wingman, and I'm her mom. And you're trying to get this girl a date. There's enough idiots and pedophiles and morons and crazy people out there that really believe in Robin Williams' 1-hour photo movie and take pictures. Why would you do something like this? A woman or a man can be a schmuck. Molly's mom is a schmuck. What are you doing? And by the way, I've entered that website and asked her out 4 times.
Who, Molly or the mother?
Nah, I'm married. I don't. Whoever my wife likes better.
All right, good. All right. And now let's see who's got the swag. Who are we toasting this week, Fish?
My favorite actor, by far. My favorite actor. I mean, we love Cranston, but this guy's my favorite actor, and he's really close with the Miami Dolphins, and he was working out with them. And look what he got away with, and look how he played it.
Training with the Miami Dolphins was going great. Until that morning coffee snuck up on me.
That's another tight area. That's fantastic. And since we got our upper body,
Wait for it.
Pull-ups. Okay. We want to make sure we get full range of motion.
Oh, sorry about this. Sorry about this. Excuse me. Get the other side. You guys have showers in here? We do.
Working out. That's what's the defensive back they have? That's Xavier Howard on the corner there. The whole crew there talking about him working out, and he farts, and he played it off great. It wasn't scripted. He just decided to do it, and you saw how the whole crew there reacted. And I thought that's great that he can make. Most people would just blow that off, no pun intended, and not say anything. And he, he said, "Do you have any showers in there?" Phenomenal.
Well, and Fish, you got to realize there's only one show that can script farts, and that's you and me. That's Daily Fish. So just remember that.
Yeah, Will Smith.
All right.
Phenomenal.
All right. Now we have our drink of the week, and we are going to toast Will Smith. What are we sipping here, Fish? Oh, actually, before we do that, let's bring in our special guest because she wanted to toast with us. There's Liz Calloway. Liz,
hi, guys.
welcome. Hey, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking seltzer. It's a little early for me. I'm a 7 o'clock cocktail kind of gal, but I am drinking in my Mets glass. So
wow, very
just
good.
thought that would be appropriate for your show. But why don't you tell us what is in the drink that you're drinking? Because honestly, I don't think I would have had that anyway.
So you got to tell them to drink first, Fish, because we didn't give the name yet.
Well, in honor of you and the great, great Broadway musical dead cats, this is a wet pussycat. Okay, this is vodka. You're laughing at vodka, orange juice, cranberry juice. Hardison's laughing his ass off because maybe we called it pussycat, but something else. All right, you put a little splash of melon liqueur in there, and maybe a little bit of cinnamon, and it's very popular as a shot. But what the hell? We're gonna do it, and we're gonna honor. For all the pussycats out there.
Even the wet ones.
I'm so touched. Really, I am. But I do want to share with you that John, he texted me earlier. Let me just find it. He texted me earlier and said this cocktail that you were doing. And he said, yeah, let's see. I've got it right here.
He threw me under the bus, that prick.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Are there kids watching this? Because
yes, they need to learn.
Oh, yes. Another reason, something about the drink of the week is called the wet pussy. If you don't want to do the toast with us, because that's fine.
Because John's a choir boy and I'm not. Okay, I'm a loose cannon, so I decided to go conservative with the drink.
And then he said, "Oh no, I made a mistake, but I just want you to know but it wasn't the name. It was you said it had peach juice in it. And I'm a vodka girl, but I just like my vodka."
It does. Well, I forgot it had peach juice in it, but I got so, I said, I can't say that. I can't. I throw F-bombs and say the word shit all the time, but I'm afraid to say wet pussy. I'm not. This is called a wet pussy, and it's very popular with girls in the bars, everybody. Get one at Chuck's Tavern.
Hey, here's to Will Smith, and also to Bob Saget, who we lost this past week as well.
Oh, yes.
So cheers.
Yeah,
cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. By the way, I'm enjoying your show. I like all the very different segments and everything. It's fascinating.
Well, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Glad you're a part of it here. Before we get into that, Daily Fish Drink of the Week is sponsored by Shuck's Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to Shuck's Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town where fish is overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast, you get a free drink. Do it the next day, a free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook. And we are just about ready to get started. We're going to gab with Liz in a second. Just so you know, her career combines a Broadway career with some fantasy sports as well. And maybe she can explain the New York Mets and the New York Jets. But speaking of pain, did you see that? Speaking of pain, let's talk about Medsonics. If you're heading to Vegas, first place to stop is Medsonics. The sound wave technology relieves pain, inflammation, and even jet lag. It's non-invasive. You sit there for 25 minutes, you relax. The technology will soon be all over the country. Go to medsonics.com. It's spelled Medsonix. Al is the owner inventor. Tell him Daly Fish sent you. All right, a little bit more on Liz. Did you like that? Did you like that segue about the pain? And
not really. Jets, I can understand. Maybe not Mets, but Jets, I can, as a long-suffering Jets fan. Yes,
let me tell people a little bit about you. Who, for some reason, for people who don't know, she's a Broadway star, also a singing voice since the 1980s. Still today, her stage credits include Cats, as we just mentioned, Evita, and Miss Saigon. You heard her in animated films like Lion King 2, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, and The Swan Princess. She does cabaret in New York. She has a number of solo albums, and she's also on YouTube. You got to check out her YouTube channel because she sings while she's driving. We got to talk to her about that and maybe contact the cops as well. But more importantly, she has come out publicly as a Mets and a Jets fan. And Liz, as we would say, that actually takes a lot of guts today.
I'm also a Knicks fan. Oh. So let's just lay it all on the table. I am, it's hard being me. And
well, you're gonna talk to the guy John Hardison pretty soon. He's all Lions and Pistons and I mean, wow. You know what? I gotta say this real quick about people like you from the New Yorkers and the people from Michigan. It's like I said in Daily in the Fishy segment. You guys are so loyal to their teams. It's so beautiful to see that no matter what, you live or die with your teams, and you don't see that where I'm from in Los Angeles, Liz. I'm sorry, you don't see it.
No, I'm actually from Chicago, and I was born and raised in Chicago. And then in '69, my dad was a journalist. He was transferred to New York. And so I was like a young kid, but it was like Knicks, Jets, Mets. And that was my first introduction to sports. And then we lived in New York 5 years, then moved back to Chicago. But I always stayed a New York fan. I mean, not that I like that my dad was a diehard Cubs fan, but I am very loyal. And sometimes I feel sorry for my son that I raised him as a Mets fan. Every so often I'm like, I'm so sorry. I remember the first time we took him to a Knicks game, and he was quite young, and the Knicks lost in overtime, and he was at the age where he was very sensitive, and he just started crying. And this guy comes up to him and says, "Kid, get used to it." So, but I've done a lot of podcasts, particularly over the pandemic, but most of them usually are about Broadway or about the animated movies I've done. And by the way, one that you did not mention, John, that actually most people know me from is Anastasia. So if there's anyone who has kids who knows, that's probably how they know my singing voice from Anastasia. But I'm so happy to be talking sports. That's like a huge passion of mine.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about all that. Let's get into that right now. What do you think about the Jets? Are you okay with Saleh staying on as the coach of the Jets, or do you want to get rid of him? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I give him another chance. I think it's going to be an interesting draft, and I think that we have some reasons to be optimistic. I'm optimistic at the beginning of every season, cautiously optimistic, but. Yeah, no, I say give him another go, and let's see what we have, what pieces he has to work with next year.
The great thing the Jets have going for them is they share the stadium with a team called the New York Giants. Thank you, congratulations, Giant fans. You have the worst offense in the history of the NFL this year. So the Jets don't get all the negative press. The Giants do also. They got major problems also. But
they do. And I like the Giants, but I'm a Jets fan. And whereas in baseball, I'm a diehard Mets fan, but I'm sorry, Yankees fans. I'm happy when the Yankees lose. I don't get the same glee. I don't feel that way when the Giants lose. I will say in my fantasy football, I often pick when I do DraftKings, I pick the defense of whoever is facing the Giants, and I did very well with the Redskins.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Can I ask you this, Liz? Because we felt this in Los Angeles. The Angels have two great players in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, and they could both break every record in the world, but they'll always be in the shadow of the Dodgers. The same with the White Sox with the Cubs. Do you feel like the Mets will always be in the shadow of the Yankees, especially the Yankees with their history and the great players they had? The Mets have had some good years when Bobby Valentine managed them, and then who's the guy, John, that when they won the World Series in '86, Dave something was their manager. I can't think of his name.
Dave Johnson.
Dave Johnson, yeah. So they had some
Johnson.
good.
In fact, I saw
Davey Johnson.
Davey Johnson. Yeah. Does it bother you that the Mets you think could always be in the shadow of the Yankees?
No, I don't think they will be. I don't think they are. I think they were, but I think the Yankees kind of came down to earth. I think for a while, there was this. It was Yankees everything, but then, no, I don't. I think I really like the Mets teams, the pieces we have, and I think the Yankees mystique is not what it was. I just don't think it is what it was. So it's actually harder to be happy when the Yankees do poorly, because it's actually more Yankees fans that I have problems with, because they've always been so horrible and mocking me as a Mets fan. But I also remember back when the Mets started to do better in the 80s, and there was a period of time when the Yankees were not doing well. And I knew a lot of Yankees fans who were suddenly rooting for the Mets, which I think was wrong. I think you have a team, you root for your team. All
right. So let me ask you this. What do you think about Buck Showalter coming over as the manager?
From what I'm told, I think he's a really good, I think he's a good move. I know everything is about statistics right now, but I also think he has a history with the game, and he may be, I don't know. As I said, I'm always very optimistic. I've been singing the anthem for the Mets since 1984, and I've sung basically every year. And something I like about the Mets is, in addition to my team, the people who work there are terrific. I mean, it's like a really nice, they're good people, at least the people that I've dealt with over the years for them. And so, yeah, I would have liked, before the whole craziness that happened with the Astros, I would have liked to have seen Carlos Beltran as our manager. I think that would have been very interesting. And I'm sure he'll get another chance someday. So we'll see.
Real quick, when you sing the national anthem, what are the perks you get?
You get generally 4 to 6 free tickets.
Nice.
And a nice parking spot.
Wow.
And
great.
when during the pandemic, of course, you couldn't do anything. So I did a few at-home videos for them. I was on my back porch and I videoed God Bless America for them to play during the 7th inning stretch. And then last April, my first time back singing, it was actually my first time singing for an audience at all, but we weren't allowed to be on the field.
Oh.
So, and because there was just very strict COVID protocols. So they had me go to the back to the food court area, and they had a camera and you could see the outfield behind me. And it was very, very different. And I started to sing, and there were like 20 people came around, and they were like holding their Shake Shacks and their orders and their beers. And it was like my first time singing for people again in, it was like over, 15 months then. Yeah. And it was actually my favorite anthem I've ever done. I don't know. It was just, I felt so, I don't know. It was like very cool to do that again. And
great story.
Yeah, I sang for the Mets in the '86 playoffs too, which was very cool.
That's cool. That was the year they won the World Series.
Yes, it was.
Yes, and don't remind me who what the losing team was, because you text me sometime about the Red Sox. You when the Red Sox lose, you kind of you get me pretty good too.
Oh, well, yeah, except actually, I've always kind of liked the Red Sox. I lived in Boston for 3 years. And of course, obviously not when they're playing the Mets. But for me, a good day would be when the Mets would win, the Yankees would lose, and the Red Sox would win, because I knew all the Yankees fans were so mad. I'm a really wonderful human being, aren't I?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we got to talk about something that you're really into, and that's fantasy. You play Captain Showdown. And if you're into fantasy football, fantasy basketball, I'm going to bring back our guy, our guru on betting and fantasy. John Hardison's going to give you some pointers. So if you have anything you want to ask him, that's a guy right there. That handsome devil is a guy to talk to.
I'm delighted to talk to you. And I have a question for you first. Now, during the season, like yesterday, I would do, a bet or two of all the games. But I'm very fond of the Captain Showdown. And is that like wussy betting? Or do you look down upon me for liking Captain Showdown?
I don't look down upon you. It's the ability to be able to do it because of where you live out here. We don't have FanDuel. We don't have DraftKings just because of the situation that they got in previously with everything. But I mean, Captain Showdown's not bad. I mean, it's not Vegas betting. It's not the high stakes like the guy that bet 30,000 the other day to win 1.2 mil. But it's okay. It's putting your feet in the kiddie pool until you build up to go into the deep end.
Well, it's interesting. I was in Vegas a couple summers ago, and I did put in a thing. It was the home run derby, and Pete Alonso won. And so that probably was the most I've ever won betting. And New York State, where I live now, it's legal. So like my Twitter feed is just like everything is like bet this, bet this. My question for you as for Captain Showdown, because what I like about it, I started doing it because my son is into it and does incredibly well on DraftKings. It just gives me a reason to watch games like when the Jets were horrible. Oh, I can watch these other games and just have something else to root for besides just a really good game. What is a good strategy for picking your captain?
So the biggest thing about picking the captain is making sure that you're seeing, first off, the most important thing is always read the injury report. See who's actually playing that day.
I do that.
Who's actually going to be able to throw to. So you want to make sure that you have a quarterback, if that's going to be your captain, like a Pat Mahomes or a Dak Prescott. And you want to see if that person, when you look at his statistics over time, actually tends to spread the ball around. So that way you can actually kind of get the idea of how many touchdowns do you expect, or can you put 2 and 2 together? Meaning, like, if I took Dak Prescott, I want to make sure that I'm taking Amari Cooper as well. Or if I have Matt Stafford, I want to take Cooper Kupp. So I'm doubling up on those points and scores, trying to make it work. Sometimes the hardest part about it is making sure that it fits within that parameter, because each platform has a different budget that you can budget someone in. But when you do that, you try to get the most bang for your buck. So sometimes there might be a guy that's a little bit less, but you got to look at just his overall aspect of like how many touches a game he gets, how many passes he gets per game, how many snaps is he on the field versus, like, I'll give you an example. When you look at New England, we'll use John's team. When you look at the Pats, you have a Jonnu Smith and you have a Hunter Henry. Who's on the field more for more snaps? Who has the most opportunities to maybe get close, especially when they get in that red zone, to making that score?
Let's just talk about Saturday's game. So Raiders Bengals, right?
This will come up.
Yeah. So this coming Saturday. Sometimes I go, oh, should I is it better to do a high-priced captain or someone maybe a little more contrarian and then have more of a budget to have both quarterbacks or both, depending on and who would you pick for your captain in that game?
Ooh, that's a tough one. for that game, if I'm looking at it, depending on how much Joe Burrow would be, my guess is probably going to be the highest quarterback that game. He's probably going to be the highest priced quarterback in that. If you overspend on him, does that mean that you could still pick up someone like a T. Higgins or Jamar Chase? You might be better off in that game scenario picking Derek Carr. And then if you can, if Joe Mixon is playing, depending on who's less, either a Joe Mixon, or if you want to flip that, maybe go with a Jalen Richard, because Jalen Richard had some pretty big runs on Sunday that ended up getting you quite a bit of points. And then you might be able to task that person with a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins. Now, I will say this, whichever one had the best game the week before, go the opposite. So if T. Higgins had the best game the week before, go Jamar Chase, because they feed off of each other. Once T. Higgins starts getting most of the targets, then they'll go Jamar Chase the next week. So I would look at that when you're looking at the statistics as well.
That's very helpful. That's
Cool.
very helpful.
Hey, Liz, let me jump in here real quickly. When you do this form of betting, what does it do for you? Does it help you watch the game a little bit more? Does it give you a little perspective? Do you feel like you're kind of like a general manager or a coach?
Well, I do find it I find it fascinating. I sometimes, if my son, who's so into it, he listens to podcasts, he looks at the weather, he does he's really, nothing is random with what he does. And so I kind of enjoy that. Part of it is it makes me feel like I'm participating in some weird way. I haven't been really since the pandemic, but I was a very serious tennis player, and I would compete on teams, and I've missed having that. And so, particularly now, I've done a little bit with baseball, but I would never ever pick anyone who was playing against the Mets for baseball. And I'll do a little basketball. Where I've had luck in fantasy sports is golf.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like the Masters or something. I've had more luck with like the majors. And again, when I say luck, when I say what my victories are, we're not talking a lot of money. But for me, any kind of victory is a good victory. But I enjoy it. But also this way, I'm not like, oh, my team lost. I may lose because of who I chose, but I can root for both teams, which I enjoy. That makes it more interesting for me. And all this is just getting me until baseball starts. It's just right. It's all the basketball and all that. I love it. And by the way, you guys didn't talk at all about Australian Open Djokovic. I was surprised in your.
You know what?
He's a joke.
Yeah,
because he's a joke. Real quick, Liz. One thing that I put the NFL down for what they try to put two teams in Los Angeles, but the brilliance of the NFL is 75 of the 100 most watched shows in 2021 were NFL games, and they've built an audience of young kids like your son and yourself because fantasy football and last man standing pools and the gambling and bringing people involved in that aspect. Not everyone watch it because of the games, it's because you do have Dak Prescott as a quarterback as your captain showdown. You have Amari Cooper, and you're competing at that level. It makes it more fun adding that extra pump to watching an NFL game. So
I totally agree. It gives it, and particularly, I haven't been doing it that long, but also during the last 2 years of the pandemic, it's like, ooh, here's something to look forward to. Or like a Monday night game. So even if it's not two teams I'm particularly interested in, then it's something kind of, fun to do, whether it's, I don't know, I say my son created a monster, but I do enjoy.
Well, go back to what you just said. I want all your perspectives on this. Do you have breaking news on this? Because this Djokovic thing is an interesting story we could bring up right now, because I have family in Australia, and they're pissed off. They're very strict with virus, and their prime minister said, "We don't care if this guy is not vaccinated. He can't come in." So, is it money taking over? Is it the fact the Australian Open needs him to play? He's such a great player. I don't know what the status of the guy is right now. From what I heard last, is that he's in Australia and he's just waiting to be able to get cleared to play. What's the latest on?
Well, he was right now. He evidently got an exemption.
Mhm.
It's very sketchy because he's said many times he doesn't believe in vaccines and shouldn't, and then he was stopped at immigration and he was stuck in a hotel and they were going to not let him have his visa. And then a judge yesterday or this morning said, no, they didn't handle it right. So he's practicing, but they may still revoke his visa because I think he lied on it. And I admire him as a player, but he's just handled this horribly.
He's an idiot. It's okay. He's an idiot.
Would you want my prediction? I'll give you my prediction. How much you want to bet he plays?
I don't think he will. I think they'll allow him.
It's Vegas. I'll put 20 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he plays. You think he plays, Hardison? I think he plays.
I'll put 20 on he plays.
I'll tell you why he plays, because it's a story right now, and it brings viewers in that wouldn't usually watch it. Is he going to play? Is he not? It brings that casual viewer in. And he's a great player, and he means a lot. He's defending champion. It's just, I think he plays.
The only thing is, at least here for us, Australia, you can watch it at 11 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning because of the time change. And I don't even know if it's on ESPN or if it's Tennis Channel. So I don't think that many people will actually be, if it was Wimbledon, that I think would be different. And what's going to be very more interesting than this is, will French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, will they require everyone to be vaccinated?
Well, let me tell you something about Down Under. They love the wet pussies down under. I'm telling you right now, it's a very popular drink.
I've been to the Australian Open, and actually, I've been to all the majors, and they have a good time. They have a good time at that.
I got one question for both of you. This goes for Fish and this goes for Liz. Since Liz, you're a huge Mets fan, I just got done watching Once Upon a Time in Queens. Beautiful, beautiful documentary for 30 for 30. And Fish, you grew up watching the Raiders in the 80s. Do they kind of mirror each other in that sense? When you're listening to the Mets in the 80s and the things that they went through, and then you listen to the Raiders in the 80s and everything they went through, kind of being those bad boys, do they kind of mirror each other?
Yeah, I have families in the Mets. I was in the Mets locker room in 1987. They lose 1-0 to Rick Sutcliffe and the Cubs. I walk in the locker room, and a guy named Lenny Dykstra and Wally Backman are taking their baseball bats, and they're beating the crap out of the lockers, right? And Strawberry and Kevin McReynolds and Keith Hernandez are smoking cigarettes and drinking Jack Daniels. So that's the Raiders locker room back in the 70s and 80s. So they do, that's a great symmetry there, John Hardison. They do mirror each other as far as I'm concerned.
And I have not seen that yet. I've not watched it yet, and I need to.
Well, there you go. Hey, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left here. Liz, I wanted to talk a lot about Broadway, about cats and stuff like that.
This is more fun.
And this is more fun. Talk about some of the stuff that you're doing that's coming up, because you do a lot of virtual stuff. And I saw a number of your concerts during the bad time during the pandemic. When do you have more of those coming up? And do you think Broadway is going to come back?
Well, Broadway is back. It's very difficult right now because a lot of shows have had to cancel performances because of COVID. And the next few months are going to be rough because there's not going to be a lot of tourists. So it's going to be survival of the fittest, but it's happening every night. I started doing live concerts again. I just finished doing a week of shows in New York City, and it was so stressful trying to stay healthy and not get sick so I could do my shows. And I toured a lot the last 6 weeks. And I have I've actually had a lot of my next 2 months, a lot of my gigs have been canceled or are being rescheduled. But then in March, I'm doing a brand new show in New York City at a place called Feinstein's 54 Below. It's going to be a salute to the music of Stephen Sondheim, who we recently lost. And that is also going to be live streamed in March. So that's kind of, and I'm going to be in Philadelphia, and I'm going to be all over the place starting in March. I'll be all around the country doing concerts, and some of my things will be streamed too.
All right. So the best way to find out whatever you're doing, go to lizcalloway.com, correct?
Yeah, go to my website and you can check out stuff there, get on my mailing list, and check out my YouTube channel. You can hear some of my anthems and shows and songs and stuff like that.
And you can see her driving around New York City singing in her car.
Yes, I've always practiced in my car, and I just started for fun filming it. And so I have a series called Auto Tunes, which is me just practicing in my car, and it's actually really taken off. People really like it.
Wow, that's great. All right. Hey, we've been talking to Broadway star and singer Liz Calloway. Her credits include so much like Cats, Evita, Miss Saigon. She is also in a number of animated flicks that you can see, and you will hear her voice there as well. You can also see everything she does at lizcalloway.com. Also check out her YouTube channel. Liz, we got to have you back on again. There's so many more things we wanted to talk about, but I'm glad we got the fantasy sports in and you got a chance to talk to Hardison.
I know. Thank you, John. This is really fun. Thanks. And it's I'm gonna start tuning in and watching your shows and leaving some comments for you.
Beautiful. We love it. Thank you so much, Liz. Thanks.
Right, thanks,
and Hardison,
guys.
thank you,
Always a
buddy.
pleasure, Liz.
Thanks for sticking around with us. We appreciate it.
I'm keeping Hardison. I got a comment, and I have to make an addendum. I don't want to be that asshole. One of our viewers commented that when I did the Schmuck segment about the girl being, she's slandering her daughter, the mother has cancer, and I didn't know that. I didn't do my research enough, so I don't want to be that asshole, and I want to apologize. I think it was a funny bit, but I don't want to be insensitive to anyone, so I want to get that out there. I apologize. I wish the mother great stuff, but I have to say that Daly Fish did not, and me, I own up to it. I don't want to be insensitive to anybody, and I hope that you have a speedy recovery.
All right, very good. Hardison, what do you have to say about that? Don't say anything about it. You're fine. I'm kidding you.
No, you did great. You did great, Fish. Speedy recovery for her.
Absolutely. Yeah. All righty, good. All right, Hardison, thanks, buddy. Hey, coming up next, Fish and I are going to wrap things up, take a sneak peek at next week as well. But first, let's tell you, if you need a good golf getaway, the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail has dozens of courses along the Carolina coast. Set up an entire trip for yourself, your family, or a bunch of friends. The site is myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. You can play there year-round. It is a little chilly now, but at the same time, too, it's going to be warming up. All right, Fish, that was another great show. Next week, we're waiting to hear from Richard Karn, TV host and actor. So we're trying to cement him down. He wants to be on the show. Don't know if he's going to be on. We'll get some other folks, and if not, we're just going to have Hardison on the whole time.
Yeah, well, let me take Hardison now. And John Hardison needs to know that at the 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, we're going to switch formats, and it'll give guys like Hardison and yourself chances to do things that I do. Putting the pictures of Shrek in there, and you could John, if Hardison has an icon he wants to put in, he's talking about something in the NBA, a picture of Russell Westbrook, he could do it himself. That's going to be great. And again, I'm excited about Super Bowl week, Hardison, having Ricky Williams. He does not do this format, and you're going to be on with us on this. To have Ricky Williams on is a huge coup. Congratulations to Daly for getting this guy. I mean, I'm excited about all the guests that we get. And there's a possibility in the future we get Hall of Famer Tim Brown, Ahmad Rashad, who John has drinks with every week, and wants part of his royalties from taking his job at Real TV. And we're gonna have it's starting to blow up. There's a great chance that we get a very, very, very popular, maybe Raider owner on this show. So that would be, and I'll bring in, and then we can talk about where we get our haircut.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I would love it. All right, that's good. And then we're also going to have Heidi's Hollywood coming up around 1st of March, a new segment on here. So we've got Hardison and got Heidi, and we got a ton of good stuff. So we're looking forward to it, that's for sure. And also, folks, let us know if the time change, 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific, works good for you. Remember, Daly Fish is live from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. Catch us on Facebook at daily.fish.5, Myrtle Beach Golf Channel, and the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life, DBNA Television. We're on Roku and Amazon Fire there. The DBNA Television website, dbnatelevision.com. You can also write to us at daily.fish. I should say dailyfish1@gmail.com. And Derek Carr is probably going to be with us at some point too, because that was the front cover of yesterday's Review Journal.
We got 30 seconds. Hardison, I've never been more excited about a victory. You asked me, I'm going to tell you, I'm still not over it. I did shots at James. My voice is gone by going, let's fucking go! Raider! Take us out, John. Both Johns, take us out. I'm done. Raider Nation!
All right, Hardison, thanks for sticking around, buddy. Appreciate you having it on. And folks, we will see you next week. Fish, I love you, buddy. We'll do it again.
Love both you guys, man. Hey, go play us. And listen to Hardison.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.